Okay, this is the Chapter 5 review on surface area. So as you come to a question, there's not many of them. There's only, I think, 13 or 14 questions or 15 questions, whatever there is here. So if you come to a question that you don't know, watch the video. If you know the answer and you got it right, just fast forward through it until you get to a question you don't know. So the first question, everybody in this class got it right. It says a triangular prism has the same number of faces as a rectangular prism. So even though all of you got it right, I'm going to draw the net. This would be the net for a triangular prism. And a rectangular prism would look something like this. This has 5 faces. This has 6 faces. So they do not have the same number of faces. The triangular prism has 1 less face. Question 2, a net of a cylinder will show 2 circles and 1 rectangle. Therefore, a formula that could be used to find its surface area formula is 2 pi r squared plus pi dh. The answer for that one is true. And remember, when we're talking about surface area, this is a pi r squared for area, and this is a pi r squared for area. So in our overall formula, we have actually 2 pi r squareds. And, you can think of the plus symbol as being and. If we think of this length right here, anybody in this class right now, what measurement is that length equal to in terms of circle? The circumference of the circle is correct. So because this distance is really the circumference of a circle, and circumference equals pi d, then this length, we could say length times width is the area of this rectangle, but instead of length, we can actually say pi d. Now the width of the rectangle is really what measurement of the cylinder? It's really the height, isn't it? So if we were to draw the cylinder here, this measurement here would really be the height of the cylinder. So instead of saying length times width, I could say length times the width, which is really h. So our formula is pi dh for that. In grade 9, they use this one instead, but 2r and d are the same thing. So in terms of the product of terms, you could say 2 pi rh, or you could say pi dh. They're both the same thing. So the answer is true for that one. Question 3 says a cube with side lengths of 8 centimeters has more surface area than a rectangular prism with 12, 8, and 5. So for this one, I guess the easiest thing to do would be to, well, this one here is pretty easy with a formula because side squared would be the area of one face, which means the area of one face is 64 because 8 squared is 64. So this has an area of 64. And there are 6 faces, which means the formula is 6 times side squared, or 6 times 64, which is 384 centimeters squared of surface area. Over here, we could use a formula, but instead I'm just going to draw a net. All 6 faces here. This is the bottom, and the bottom is 12 by 8, which makes the bottom 96, and also the top, which would also be 12 by 8, 96. The right here is 8 by 5, which is 40, and the other side is 40 as well. And the only other face we have to consider is the front, which is 12 by 5. So that's 60 and 60. When I add all these together, those two add up to be 100. Those two add up to be 100. That's 200. 200 plus 180 is 380. Plus 12 is 396 centimeters squared. So the answer is false because the rectangular prism has a surface area approximately 8 square centimeters greater than that of the cube. So the answer is false. Question 4, a right triangle with sides of 3, 4, and 5. So we'll just draw that. Now, if you're given 3 measurements, you can be guaranteed that what will always be the hypotenuse, the longest side. So since 5 is the longest there, we'll put 3 and 4 here. The area of that has more area than a circle with a diameter of 3 meters. Since the diameter is 3 meters, the radius would be half of that, which is 1.5. Our formula for area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Our formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. 4 times 3 divided by 2 equals 12 divided by 2, which equals 6 square meters for the triangle. Over here, 3.14 times 1.5 squared. 1.5 squared is the first thing we do because we have to follow order of operations. 1.5 times 1.5 is 2.25. So even if you underestimate it and use 3 as pi, we know that 3 times 2.25 is going to be greater than 6. So without even doing the product of those two, we could just put greater than 6. I know that for sure. So therefore, the circle has more surface area than the triangle, which means the answer is false. The circle has more. Did I do that right? The answer is false. Most of you got that wrong. You never, yeah, maybe you just can't read. Who knows? Question 5. I've done the net for you. It says, what is the surface area of this rectangular prism? So all of these red lines that I'm drawing here all have measurements of what? 40, correct? They're all 40. And all of these two here are 18. So this rectangle right here is 40 by 18. 40 times 10 is 400. 40 times 8 is 320. So this has an area of 720, and so does this. 720 and 720. This is 10, and this is 40, so this has an area of 400, and this has an area of 400. Now the trickiest part is realizing that this measurement here and this measurement here are the same distance. Since this is 18, if I was to fold it back up, that must be 18 as well, which would make 180 here and 180 here. 720 and 180 is exactly 900. That's another 900. That's 1800. That's 2,200. That's 2,600. So your answer is the surface area of this prism is 2,600 centimeters squared. 2 of you, I think, put the answer 2,400. Does anyone want to share where 2,400 came from? Did you make a mistake with adding? No? Okay. Unga bunga. Well, the good news is I asked this question in the last class, and 0 people out of 27 got it right. Nobody. So the correct answer is 133.6. And in this class, nobody got it right in here either. So the first mistake a lot of people made is they use 3 as pi, right? You only use 3 as pi when I tell you to use 3 as pi, correct? Does it say to use 3 as pi? No, it doesn't say. I sometimes say it. I don't always say it. Whatever. So if I draw my 2, listen, it's not wrong. It's not. It's if you use 3 and you got a certain number, you're still right anyway. So our formula, just like from the one we did just before, is this one here. So if I take my formula, I have 2 circles, which is 2 pi r squared plus pi dh. Now pay attention to the substitutions, the tough part. 2 times 3.14 times the radius is 2.8 squared. Just substituting what I know into the formula. Plus 3.14 times 5.6 times 4.8. So right here, this was the only tricky part about the whole thing. It doesn't list the diameter, but you had to double 2.8 in order to get the diameter. So doubling 2.8 gives you 5.6. Okay? Now, what's the next thing that's kind of tricky? Anybody? You have to always remember to do order of operations first, or order of operations is followed at all times, which means I have to do my exponents first, right? So I can actually write 2 times 3.14 times whatever 2.8 squared is. Now 2.8 times 2.8, I'll use my square button over here instead, is 7.84 plus 3.14 times 5.6 times 4.8. So all I did was I simplified my exponents. And now, as you can see, I have three numbers to multiply here, three numbers to multiply here, followed by an addition sign. So I'm going to multiply all three of these together. I'm going to show you a cool trick too. 2 times 3.14 times 7.8, oh, no, that's not right, times 7.84 equals 49.2352. Now I'm going to show you something that I've never told you before, but you should know it anyway. Up top here, you have MC, MR, and MS on your calculator, plus M plus and M minus, okay? So if I press MS, does anyone know what that does? Anyone have any idea what that button means? What does it mean, Colin? Kind of. It means memory store. So what it does is it puts that number in its storage, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep 49.2352 so I don't have to write it again. And now I'm going to do this. So it's 49.2352 plus the product of these. So I'm going to multiply these ones out. 3.14 times 5.6 times 4.8 equals 84.4032. Now what I want to add on to that is 49.2352, correct? So I'm going to go plus, and I'm going to press MR for memory recall, and it brings back the number that's in storage. And then I press equals, and it says 133.6384. Colin. M plus? Yeah. I just wanted to show you the memory recall and memory storage. When I round it to the nearest 10th position, I get 133.6. Did anyone get 133.6 in this class today? Not one person? That's shocking. So that means in both of my grade 8 classes, out of all 60 kids that I teach, not one person got the same answer as me. Because you used 3. Okay. If you use 3, I'm assuming it's 127.7. Is that right? So even with that, only half of you got that number. So that wasn't the most stellar of questions. Question 7, OMG, look at that now. Wow, how did that happen? 52% got 600. So let's look at one face. So one face in my cube would have dimensions of 10 by 10, correct? So what's the area of the front face? 100. How many faces are there in a cube? 6. All of them would be 100, which means 6 times 100, which means the surface area of that cube is 600. Wow. What mistake did 36% of the class make? Well, they thought this 10 represented the area of each face, not the length of each side, right? So if you multiplied that by 6, you would have got 60. But that's not even cool. That shocks me because that's the easiest question on the whole sheet. Question 8 says, what is the surface area of this rectangular prism? Over 2/3 if you got it right. If I draw my net, the bottom, what's the dimensions of the bottom? 20 by 5, which is 100. Therefore, the top would be 20 times 5, which is also 100. So the top and bottom have areas of 100 meters squared. The left is really 7 by 5, which is 35. So too is the left. And the top is 20 by 7. No, sorry, the front. The front is 20 by 7, which is 140. Also, the back is 140. So the sum of these, 140 and 140, is 280, 380, 480. 40 plus 70 is 550. Okay, 550. Question 9, Unga Bunga. Look at this now. I'm going to draw the net. There's my right triangle. There's this. There's this. There's this. And there's this. Okay. So in my right triangle, what's the length of the hypotenuse in that right triangle face? Anybody? What's the length of the hypotenuse in that right triangle face? It's written right here. 5, right? And this is a 4, and this is a 3. Does everyone agree with that? 3, 4, 5, or 5, 4? It doesn't. Well, hang on. To make it look pretty, I'll do the same thing here. I'll just take these and go 4 and 3. Does everyone agree with those dimensions? Right? So the area of the triangle itself is 4 times 3 divided by 2. So the area is 6 here, and the area is 6 here, because 4 times 3 divided by 2 is the formula for the area of a triangle, base times height divided by 2. Now, if this is 4, how long is this? It's the only other dimension that we don't have written there, isn't it? It's 5. So this would be 20. Now here's a question for you. If this is 3 here, how long is this? If you folded that up, this would also be 3, wouldn't it? Right? So this would be 15. This is 20. And if I folded this up here, do you see how the 5 and this side would kind of line up to each other? So this would be 5, and this would be 5, so this would be 25. So looking at it strictly from a net, those are my 5 faces. 25 plus 20, it's 45, 50, 60, 72 square meters is the surface area of that triangular prism. Only 31% of you got that right. Ouch. Was it because my drawing was all messed up? Is that why? I just tried something new. I tried to be a little bit easier. It didn't work? Made it more confusing? Okay, I apologize profusely. Oh, this is interesting. So a man wants to paint the inside of his room. Okay, so I'm going to draw his room. And there's the door. The room is 10 meters by 5 meters by 3 meters. Okay? Does everyone agree with my drawing so far? Okay. So he's not going to paint the floor, and this is 2 by 1, the door. But he will paint the ceiling. So what is the dimensions of the ceiling? What is it? It is 10 by 5. So this is 5 here, so this is 5 here. So the ceiling, I'll draw my net. And we'll call this one the floor. Ceiling. So the ceiling is 5 by 10, so the ceiling has an area of 50. I am not going to paint the floor, so I'm not going to put a 50 in there. Now this front wall that I am going to paint is 3 this way and 10 this way. So it's 30. And the opposite wall at the back of that room is also going to be 30. Okay? What about the side wall here? It is 5 by 3, which is 15. And this is 15. So what I'm going to paint is going to be all of these numbers added together. So 50 plus 30 is 80. 80 plus 30 is 110. 110 plus 30 is 140 square meters. But I have to subtract from that what number? 2. How come? Because I'm not painting the door. And the door would be a 2 by 1. So the total paintable surface area inside that room is 138 square meters. Okay? That's the answer for the first part. The second part says, using the information from the previous question, which is 138 meters squared of paintable surface, if each can of paint costs $34.50 and will cover 35 square meters each, how much will it cost to paint your room? So the first thing I'm going to do is this here. I'm going to take my area and divide it by 35. That's going to tell me how many cans of paint I need to buy. Since each can paints 35 square meters, take my calculator. 138 divided by 35 is 3.94. How many cans of paint should I buy? 4. So the first part is I'm going to buy 4 cans of paint. That'll actually cover 140 square meters. I'm going to multiply that by the cost of each can. Now, I can do this mentally, because 2 times this will be $69. And then if I double $69 again, I'll get $138, which is the answer to the question. It will cost $138 to paint the room. Now, if this was a real question, what did we not factor in? Well, we didn't factor in brushes, right? Technically, we didn't factor in primer, because you might have to prime the rooms. You guys ever paint before, walls? You have to put that white down first, right? So you don't mix colors, you got a primer. We also didn't factor in tape, because you got to tape the the floors and where all the molding is, so you don't get the paint on that part. So that's just for the paint. That's just going to cost you for the cans of paint. And your last part was your match. So 6x squared is your formula for the surface area of a cube. 2LW plus 2LW plus 2LW is the surface area of a rectangular prism. 2 base times height divided by 2 plus 3 rectangles would be the surface area of a triangular prism. And your last one is the surface area of a cylinder. Okay? All right, any questions on surface area? I think overall surface area is understood. I was just talking to a grade 9 teacher, and you will utilize all of these skills again next year with one of the chapters in the grade 9 textbook, so it's important that you don't forget it.